2024 pay-per-view calendar for the UFC going to go out with a bang after UFC 310 gets announced with 2 title fights and a pretty solid lineup. What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Bohn, senior reporter over at MMA Junkie, but here at my YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing a quick reaction to news of this loaded UFC 310 fight card that goes down December 7th in Las Vegas. UFC CEO Dana White formally announcing this card and the 2 title fights on the top of it on Saturday, just prior to UFC Fight Night 244 at the UFC Apex. And what a card this is looking like, folks. In the main event, of course, we are finally getting Belal Muhammad against Shavkat Rakhmonov for the welterweight title. Muhammad making a pretty quick turnaround here from winning the belt against Leon Edwards back in July. And he is living up to his word here, right? We all wondered what he was going to do for the first defense. Is it going to be Kamaru Usman, who's on a 3-fight losing skid? No, it goes to the one that I think we're all most excited about, Shavkat Rakhmonov, 18-0, 100% finish rate. What more could you really ask for out of a title fight? Especially, I know some people out there aren't the biggest Belal Muhammad fans, but for him to go and back up all his words and fight the top contender, the one that the fans, the UFC wants to see, I think you got to give him credit for that. And I think that's a pretty great main event. Maybe not the one for the casuals, but most certainly for the hardcores. And I think that pretty much sums up this entire fight card. Some very compelling matchups for the hardcore fans, maybe not the most mainstream names in the world, but I think this is a great main event to cap it off. Belal, I think, has really surpassed the expectations of many with this run. Of course, what he did to Leon back in July in Manchester was ultra impressive, and his determination and his will just seems to be really unshakable right now. But if anyone is going to be able to shake the cage of the champion, it is Shavkat. This guy has been so impressive. I worry a little bit about the long layoff, a year away from the cage coming into a title fight, but look at Belal Muhammad. He took over a year when he got his title shot, and obviously worked out well for him. So I think this is a great fight. I don't know which man is going to kind of break in terms of what style they're bringing to the cage in this fight, but you got to give, I think, the UFC an A+ for what they did with the division. This is the right title fight, the most earned title fight. No nonsense, no fighters on losing skids or low ranked. You got to give mad respect to Belal Muhammad here, and Shavkat Rakhmonov. We'll see if he is truly the real deal and if he can become the UFC's next undefeated champion. I believe he would be the 14th or 15th in UFC history to win a title with an undefeated record. So that would be a big deal. And in the co-main event, another pretty fascinating matchup here. We get Alexandre Pantoja returning to defend his flyweight title against Kai Asakura, the former Ryzen bantamweight champion, who will be getting a title shot in his UFC debut. Pretty wild stuff. Only a handful of fighters have ever got title shots in their promotional debut, especially in kind of the modern era, obviously notwithstanding the early days when they were introducing titles and all sorts of fighters were coming in and making their debut. Asakura is a proven entity over in Japan, and I think that's going to be a absolutely thrilling title fight with Pantoja. We worry a little bit about the weight cut. Asakura, I don't think, has made flyweight or 125 consistently or at all. So for him, that's going to be, I guess, the first fight, the fight before the fight, getting to the scale and showing what can be done there. Brandon Royval, pretty adamant he is going to be the backup for this fight after his main event win over Tatsuro Taira. That's probably a good idea for him, just in case things go haywire. And big credit to Pantoja, man. He is willing to fight anyone under any circumstances. He gives a title shot to someone making their octagon debut, and Asakura is a lot of fun. So this one, I think, is going to be another one for the hardcore fans. Really exciting matchup. Both these guys are great in all areas, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and just goes to show what Pantoja has done to this flyweight division. He has been dominating everyone, been doing some really good things, defending that title, and now they have to go to someone outside the promotion essentially to give him a new intriguing challenge. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how it shakes out. Kind of a throwback cross-promotional fight here. If you want to look at a UFC versus UFC champion versus Ryzen champion, I'm not going to tell you otherwise. So great move here by the UFC, and I think that is an awesome co-main event. And this card as a whole, man, I think a lot going on with it here. Let's look at the full lineup as of now. That is a beast. Of course, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. We were supposed to have that rematch this month in Abu Dhabi. Gets pushed back. That has significant stakes in the heavyweight title picture. Nick Diaz making his return to the octagon against Vicente Luque. A lot of emotions come with that in a Nick Diaz fight in 2024, almost 2025 now. I guess I'll just talk about that one a little bit. I don't know. It's tough. It rips at the emotions. I mean, it's cool to see Nick Diaz fighting, especially modern fans probably know nothing of the guy, haven't seen him win or even be in really a competitive fight, probably in their lifespan watching it. But I've been around this game for a long time, been covering Nick since, Pride, his one appearance there, Strikeforce, all that stuff. And, this late chapter of his career, everything that's happened, post Anderson Silva fight has just been crazy. Hopefully he shows up this time in shape, ready to fight, and he can give a better account of himself than he did against Robbie Lawler. And if you kind of follow his social media and stuff, it looks like he is taking this seriously, that he has been training hard. I don't know what happened back in August when this fight was supposed to happen in Abu Dhabi. I don't know if anyone really thought Nick Diaz would be fighting over there when they announced it, and it didn't end up happening. So Las Vegas, a fight stateside, 3 rounds. I think this is a lot more manageable of a task, and I do think it'll happen. So I don't know. I just hope everyone goes home safe from that one. I don't want to see Nick Diaz take significant punishment. There's questions around Vicente Luque after that whole brain bleed that he had, and the performances have been a little weird since then, uncharacteristic. So we'll see where he's at. I think this will be pretty telling. If he struggles badly against Nick Diaz, that might be a bigger indictment on Vicente Luque than it is Nick Diaz at this point. And look at the rest of this here. I mean, Movsar Abloyev, another fight we were supposed to have earlier this year. A lot of rescheduled matchups on this card, which is kind of interesting. But Aljamain Sterling, Movsar Abloyev, high stakes fight, of course, at featherweight. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith, a long time in the making, this matchup. I talked a little bit to Anthony about that when he was on episode 2 of The Bonfire last week, and he said this fight means a lot to him. And Dominic Reyes, in terms of trying to rebuild himself and prove he is still worth something in the light heavyweight division, huge fight for him. Verna Jandiroba versus Tatiana Suarez has to be a title eliminator at strawweight. Winner gets Zhang Weili in my mind, and you could give either of them title shots without this matchup against each other, and I don't think anyone would complain. Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, wild stuff. Those two, a massive age gap, one of the biggest probably in UFC history or UFC lightweight history. Michael Chiesa getting a birthday fight against Max Griffin, and then Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. Those are all the fights that have been reported and or confirmed at this point in time as of October 13th. There's obviously going to be more to come. That is not a complete lineup, but a very strong start for UFC 310 rather. So people got to be stoked for that. I think the UFC has a very strong lineup of pay-per-views here to close out 2024. That's a very good one. So I'm really looking forward to UFC 310. This is kind of my first reactions on the matchup and kind of what's around the corner with this fight card. Just wanted to run things over as we get those official announcements from Dana White. And I think this is going to be a great pay-per-view to end the year. So thank you for watching. And if you guys like this, we'll be back with more of these type of fight card reaction videos, all that stuff, just experimenting with what we can here on the YouTube channel. So appreciate everyone's support and thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.